Fear not, denizens, parade is here, aka the bringer of rain, aka the father of the sea and sun, aka king of the core. And today we have a very special Rancor show. We're talking about Marvel, we're talking about Alien, we're talking about The Acolyte Season 2. And I have none other than my co-host on the episode review of The Acolyte. I have none other than Uncle Sheev on twitch.tv, the Fan Awakens on YouTube and Instagram, the prince that was promised, Eli. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, and I'm pumped to talk about an array of things, right? We spent a long time talking about The Acolyte, for better or for worse, but this is like, it's an open playground, right?
Yeah.
We got free reign right now, so thank you for having me.
Of course.
I'm pumped.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a minute since we talked about movies and TV, so this is how I instead of doing like a phone call where we just catch up, I'm like, let's record it, let's talk to the people, let's talk to the fans. And speaking of, if you are a fan of the Rancor show, you're in the right place. Rancor on YouTube. You can also support the show, well, by liking, subscribing, of course, and commenting below what you guys think of us or think about the content. But you can also pick up a shirt at rancorclothing.com. Low price of $19.99. I'm rocking today. Long live the Empire. What does it say? Long live the Empire. Long live the Empire, because I'm feeling anti-rebel today. But yeah, pick up one at your leisure.
You know, I gotta say real quick, yeah. I was gonna wear my Rancor shirt today also,
no worries.
But then I dug up an old shirt that I forgot that I owned. I was going through some old stuff, and like I was opening a box in my closet with a bunch of Star Wars stuff, and there was a shirt at the bottom. And although I live like less than 3 hours away from Yosemite, I've never been there. However, I was at a different forest, and I did get a shirt that says Yosemite, the Forest Awakens. And so that was that's my shirt of the day. Random awesome. Random tee.
That's awesome.
Never been there, but
did they sell it there, or would you pick up online?
No. I was at the Sequoia National Forest, different forest. Okay. I don't know if they're connected. I have no idea. But in their shop, and it was like right after the Force Awakens came out.
Yeah.
They had this shirt, and I was like, oh my god. Yes.
That's
so
awesome.
I bought it, and then I forgot I had it for like 5 years. So
hey, there you go. So it's like a brand new shirt.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nice. I'm glad we could get a fit check-in for sure. I want to know what you thought of Deadpool and Wolverine. We haven't talked about it very much.
We haven't. I don't know if we've talked about it at all, you and I. Maybe a message or two, but yeah. I had a blast. You know, I think that it's a great way to enjoy a summer movie. Went with a bunch of friends, right?
Nice.
And we got popcorn and drinks and everything. We kind of spent some money, and no popcorn buckets. Didn't have them. The movie, I thought was awesome. I don't think that it's The Dark Knight or Logan, right? No. It's in a whole different like it's a different highway there.
Yeah.
But I saw it twice. I enjoyed it both times. Maybe even the second time, I feel like you have more time to pay attention to the smaller details. Just small things in the background. You know, they have these big fight scenes with a million characters, and sometimes you can pick up on Dogpool running across the screen or you didn't. It's just, small things. But, I dug it. I had a great time. How about you?
Oh, no, I really liked it. I saw it with a good friend of mine. We had dinner before we went. And so it was funny because he's a big MCU fan. So we're like predicting who's going to be in the movie and what they could possibly show. And I actually have a lot of, I was going to say I have a lot of reverence for the old Fox stuff, but that's not true. I enjoyed it, and it led us to where we are now in the MCU. But I was like, it would be cool to see like Michael B. Jordan as a Human Torch, or even Chris Evans as the Human Torch. So, and spoilers for all these movies. When Chris Evans shows up, and I was like, oh, like Captain America. My brain went first to the comic books when they did Secret Wars, and he's like riding Devil Dinosaur. But then I was like thinking about it, I'm like, they wouldn't do that because they're not really pulling from the comic books in that way for Captain America, because they have the music swell there too. And then I'm looking at his like his arm, and I'm like, it's blue. I was like, oh, he's Johnny, and I thought that was a great reveal, and I really enjoyed that. And then I was blown back that
Blade?
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, same.
That was crazy. I
I
screamed.
I had no idea that was gonna happen. I thought they were gonna have Sticky Fingers
That's what
from the
everybody's
TV show,
predicting.
and I
Yeah.
know everybody had been talking about it, and I just accepted that. I'm like, I'm sure Blade's gonna be in there. I don't know if it was a doctored image. I know they were releasing fake stuff or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there was like a picture circulating around of like, oh, he's on set, and so I'm like, oh, that's cool. He'll be in there. I'm sure he'll make a joke.
Yeah.
And Wesley Snipes came in with the music and like,
Huge pop.
he's so cool. He's so cool. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, he is. It's just him walking in a room and like, damn,
Yeah.
that's Blade.
That's
Like,
Blade.
you know.
And those movies hold up. I watched them within the last year, and those movies are still really good, surprisingly.
Yeah, shout out Guillermo.
Yeah. And but I was mad that the last trailer spoiled that Daphne Keane was going to be in it. And I was
That was
why did you
ridiculous.
guys have to do that? And I shouldn't have watched the trailer. Someone sent it to me, and I thought there might have been something in there.
Sure.
I didn't expect that, and so that was a little on me, but also a little bit on Marvel for spoiling.
Look, I say it's 100% on Marvel because I didn't even watch the trailer and I found out, and I was pretty safe on social media. I saw a thumbnail, and I'm like, from one of them on YouTube, from like an official page, and I'm like, okay, that's awesome, thanks. I do think that there is an issue with how trailers are cut and how and marketing in general, I think, has gone too far.
Yeah.
Especially with big IP.
Mm-hmm.
Like Daphne Keane being in the trailer, I don't think is selling more tickets. You sold so many advance tickets.
Right.
It's all people are already going regardless.
Yeah.
And I remember I saw Kevin Feige was in an interview and they asked him about it and he said that, oh, Daphne wanted to go to the premiere. So like, who cares? Everyone goes to premieres.
Yeah.
She was in Logan. It makes sense.
Well, let that be the spoiler that she's in it. Why are they be like, well, we'll spoil it for the world? You know.
Yeah, but even if she's at the premiere, it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Like it's the same actor in the real life. It's not a different version of it.
Like not every actor who goes to red carpets are in the movie.
Right.
They have influencers and athletes. It doesn't mean they're in it.
Yeah, and it's
like
not
that
like
was
we're
ridiculous.
all tapped into the red carpet anyway, so it was.
And to be fair,
bad excuse.
It didn't ruin the movie or anything. It was just a little. It's just annoying when those things happen. It's like, it takes a beat out of the movie that should have been more meaningful.
Right. That's what I was gonna say, because it wasn't that it ruined it, but she was the last person to be revealed, and it was a beat that was missed because we already knew she was there.
Yep.
So that was disappointing.
I agree.
I like this movie quite a bit. I think in my reaction, I think I gave it like a 9.5. When I was watching other reviews for people who weren't so high on it like I was or most,
Yeah.
they had complaints about like Cassandra Nova. I actually liked her, for what it was.
I agree.
I did feel she was threatening and she was imposing. But then again, it did feel like the third act kind of dragged a little bit. Like we could have cut the Deadpools out. Like we didn't really need that scene. It was still a fun scene and I enjoyed it. But I know that there's some gripes about little things like that. What really threw me off though was Nice Pool. And I was like, did Ryan Reynolds just want his regular face in this movie? But I'm like, it was in Deadpool 1. I don't know. That one was a little bit more jarring to me that I didn't really enjoy. There was a couple of good jokes with it, but I don't know if it necessarily served the movie than serving Ryan Reynolds.
I don't like. It's weird with Nice Pool. I don't know that. Like, I feel like his face is in everything anyways, and it's even when he has this grotesque, I guess if you want to call it that, burned face, like it's still Ryan Reynolds. It's not like Dread, where you don't see his face at all.
Right.
It did, and I thought there was some good jokes in Nice Pool, right? I do think he probably lingered a little too much in certain scenes. Like we just didn't need to. Like, I liked that bit with him getting, using him as a human shield, but it did go on a while, and I'm like, all right. Like, the first time, it was great, and the second time, but with that being said, I agree that I actually think this is my favorite of the Deadpool movies because I find it much more, and I know it's early, but I already find it more rewatchable. My issue with the first two Deadpool movies is I just don't, like, for the amount of jokes and the kind of fun they go for, I don't find them as rewatchable as I think they should be. Yeah. First one I just think is paced kind of poorly with all the flashbacks. I'm not really into it. And I thought it was awesome the first viewing. And then kind of every subsequent viewing I was kind of like, this kind of, I wouldn't say I fell out of love with it or anything, but, that's one thing. With this movie, at this point, I just think it's a ton of fun. The references hit better for me.
Yeah.
I think the side characters that they feature, I like Colossus and all, and I like the different characters, Cable and whatnot, but
Yeah.
I didn't get excited like I got excited for Blade
Right.
or for the Channing Tatum moments, right? Or like even Jennifer Garner, like those.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like similarly, those are gonna last. They're gonna stay better,
Yeah.
watching it in the future.
Yeah. I mean, talking about Channing Tatum, there was always that chatter there was going to be a movie, and I was like, please. I was saying like, please, no movie. Even in 2024, I don't want to see a Gambit movie because I don't think he could carry his own movie. Just the character, not Channing Tatum. I think he is a star. But having him here, I thought that was fine and funny. Cause like even the accent, I was like,
It's
this
so
is
funny.
bad. And then I'm glad Deadpool calls it out. He's like, what?
It's so good. And the funny thing about it, and it's one of those things that I don't know if it's media literacy or what, but when you look at comments, and I'm not like a chronic comment reader, but I do peek, especially when big things come out, and it's like 50-50 split. And I saw an alarming amount of people complaining about his accent being not being able to take it seriously. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the point.
Right.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
The whole character. It's a joke. And like the thought that this would be his character if he did do a movie is also this wouldn't be the take
Yeah.
if they did a full feature. Which also, yeah, I do think that maybe there could be a Gambit story somewhere, but I do think that if they ever do a Gambit movie, it'll be paired with someone else.
Right.
It'll be like the B character
Yeah.
to like the, I don't know, Rogan Gambit,
Gambit,
something,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It would be like a almost Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Yeah.
But I thought it was awesome. I thought, Channing Tatum is like he's the cameo king. He is in
Yeah,
everything.
very true.
Yeah, I feel like if you ask, he will do it.
Yeah.
He's like, "What are you gonna pay me?" I don't know. He
I
just
don't know,
shows
I'll
up
be there.
and does it. So it was awesome, and like he's so game.
Yeah.
Like this character obviously means a lot to him, and he made him a joke, and
Yeah.
I thought that's pretty commendable.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, his fight scene was cool. Like, but again, it wasn't my favorite cameo. I was happy to see Jennifer Garner. I love the reference of Daredevil being dead,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Yeah, it's fine," because Ben Affleck thing. Even the beginning scene, Jon Favreau being there was cool. And,
Oh yeah.
So to me, I really enjoyed the cameos. It might be a little bit gimmicky for most, but going back to what you said, I recently about the previous Deadpool movies, I did rewatch those before this. I watched those two and Logan, and I've seen Deadpool 2 before, but it was very forgettable. I couldn't remember like the plot
I
and
agree.
everything. And rewatching it for I guess my second, maybe third time, I was like, oh, it's forgettable because like that second act where he builds the team and they just get killed off really doesn't lead into anything besides introducing Domino. And so I'm like, that movie's even smaller scope than the first one.
It is. Yeah.
And so out of the two, I prefer one, and then out of the three, I prefer the last because it is, more of what I'm looking for, with the cameos, with the Easter eggs, with the breaking the fourth wall and knowing the references. I think that helps the audience feel like they're smarter or they're involved, and we're getting payoff for that. But Hugh Jackman, he kills it. If that's his real body, amazing. Like,
Yeah, man,
he's fat or whatever, and then
it's crazy.
Disintegrates, and it looks great.
Also, yeah, we should. I mean, Hugh Jackman is obviously he's like a Academy Award type of act. Like he can win those awards. He can be in action movies, all that stuff. But he is so great in this movie. He's the heart of the movie.
Yeah.
And you can have all these jokes going on, and I loved most of them. But then you can still have Hugh Jackman, being serious and brooding and emotional, and I genuinely like connect with it. Because I think if everything's comedy and there's one serious character, it could come off as like, all right, let's just like it could drag everything down, but it didn't. I thought their chemistry was awesome.
One more thing about cameos. I'm like, okay, I'm crossing my fingers. I want to see Marsden in the next one. I want to see Famke Jensen. I want to see Halle Berry. I want them in Secret Wars because not having them here, I feel like we're missing them, right? I'm really sad that Taylor Kitsch won't be showing up as Gambit because I think I like what is it? The Mars movie.
John Carter.
John Carter of Mars, and I think
me too.
That got buried, and so I want Taylor Kitsch to have something, but I don't think they'll ask him to be Gambit for Secret Wars. And then I feel like it was really cool to see Henry Cavill in this movie.
Super cool.
But I'm like, I want him in MCU. Like, I don't know if we're gonna use him in anything else. Showing him here, so. But yeah, shout out to him in that that montage of comic book Wolverines was so funny and great.
Comic book accurate Wolverine. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
they went a lot of places, and they all were great.
yeah. I heard, and it's probably my opinion. To me, this feels the most comic booky movie that we've had in a long time. Where it's reaching into those comic books and having different Wolverines and having all these cameos. I think it's a great way to get Marvel back on track. We'll see how the rest of these things go. But that being said, I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the reveal of Mr. Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom in the next Avengers movie, Doomsday, which I believe is coming out 2026.
Yeah, I believe so. You know what? I gotta say, I'm more positive on it than I feel like a lot of people are.
Okay.
I wasn't like super surprised because I feel like the rumors had been going for a little while that might be a possibility.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a big shock, but honestly, if it was just Robert Downey Jr. coming back and no Russo brothers, I'd probably be more sour on it.
Yeah.
But the Russo brothers, I know they've produced a bunch of movies and directed a few since Avengers Endgame, and they haven't all really hit, but they haven't missed in the MCU, man. I just trust them.
Yeah.
I know that they have been outspoken about never coming back unless it was for Secret Wars and everything, and so even if I know they've talked about how it was Kevin Feige's idea, whatever the case, I do, and it is a ton of money, and money can persuade a lot, but I do trust them to put something on screen that's going to be awesome, and I also don't think like I know there's jokes of, oh, he's just going to be Iron Man, but Doctor Doom. I think that's almost disrespectful to them. Like, I do think that they're more cognitive of the character and like the actor and Robert and everything. I feel like I would be stunned if it was just RDJ as Doom in the same way as RDJ is Iron Man.
Yeah,
I think it'll be I think there's a lot of moments they can play with. Tons of people are going to go watch it. I'm going to be excited.
Yep.
It could have been Cillian Murphy or someone, but I'm pretty in on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at it, and I understand business-wise why you would cast RDJ. Right now, the MCU online, everyone's destroying everything that's come out since Endgame. There's only been a handful of hits or whatever. Disney's drowning, Marvel's over. All this conjuncture online. And so I'm not surprised they're reactionary, and I think it was great when the Russos were announced as directors because I am a big Russo stan when it comes to the movies. It's like Civil War, Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. It's like, I love those movies. They're my favorite, and they just make money. So pay them, yes. Right? But then to go, well, we also need RDJ. I was like, do we though? Do we? And it's a reactionary move. They want to go with the safe bet, and he is one actor who can put butts in the seats, right? But I still think the movie could do it without him, right? But we live in this universe where that's happening. So that being said, I was trying to figure out how they would do it. Is it a variant of Tony Stark that's Victor Von Doom? I doubt it. I think he will be Victor Von Doom. He'll just look like RDJ. I have a feeling he'll be the Doom either from the Fantastic Four universe, and that universe gets destroyed and he follows them into 616. But I think at that point we'll see his face as Doom only there, and then when he comes over, that mask is not coming off. And so I have a feeling he'll do an accent and hopefully be able to separate Iron Man, Tony Stark, and Doom, like when we see Tom Hardy do like Bane. Like to me, I can't see Tom Hardy, like when I watch the third Nolan Batman.
Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises. I don't look at Bane and go, oh, that's Tom Hardy, because he huge, and he's doing an accent, and Tom Hardy's good at like kind of losing who we personify him as an actor. He's very chameleon like. So I think this will determine if RDJ has the chops, and I think he does. But two fears of mine is, one, are we going to have a Doom after RDJ, which I would like to see more Doom, but not more RDJ, unless that's the plan to continue using him. And two, because you pay the Russos and now you got to pay RDJ, are you going to be able to pay all the other actors to make a good, Doomsday movie, to make a Secret Wars movie? Because I'm expecting more cameos like Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's not cheap to get everybody. So if RDJ pulls 20% of that budget, who are we actually going to see? Because I want to see the Daredevil cast. I want to see the Fox cast. I want to see the 2000s Fantastic Four, Jessica Alba. I want to see Michael B. Jordan and the Miles Teller, maybe, I want to see everybody in Secret Wars so we could just kill them all off and we could be just done with those universes, right? But you have RDJ. I mean, what is he? Didn't his last contract he asked for like 80 mil or something?
Well, this one, the reported number is that the Russos got 80, and RDJ got more. Somewhere around 80, but I think, right? Yeah.
I should have done the a RDJ Dynasty. We should have that cameo at the end of a movie where it's just a bunch of RDJs. But yeah, that's my fear. I'm like, the budget. What is this budget for Secret Wars going to be like? Like 500, 700 million?
I honestly think it will be. But I complain about budgets all the time.
Yeah.
And it's funny that something we'll talk about later. Alien Romulus had an $80 million budget, which is what they're paying the Russos to direct, which is insane.
Yeah.
But I do think that the Avengers is a weird hall pass case for me, where at this point, spend the money, overspend this time.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, although I think the biggest issue for the MCU, I genuinely don't think it's quality of movie. Mm-hmm. I think that we have gotten more or less, and it could be a little less, right? The same, like some hits, some misses, some not quite as good. But I think the issue is that singular thread that kind of ties them all together. It just hasn't been there like it was before.
Yeah.
So there's not that same like, okay, well maybe if you didn't even like this one that much, the next one you got to see it because it's going to connect, and that's just not happening.
Yeah.
And they don't have that long to correct that. I think Captain America will do a lot of lifting there probably in giving us a new narrative through line, or at least sparking that again. But with like the budget, I think it is going to cost. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like $400 million a movie, because you have 160 million already tied up.
Already gone.
And I think that's for both, but still.
Yeah.
I think the next two Avengers movies will probably cost. I seriously think it'll probably cost you $600+ million for both of them.
Yeah. 600.
Just because, I mean, the cast and everything, even if you try and go cheap with like some of the legacy people, and it's like, hey, you're only here for like a couple days to die, I think it's going to cost a ton of bread, and that's just the beast that they created.
Yeah.
And I do think that this is like the final, for now, massive spectacle, and then hopefully we'll go X-Men and Fantastic Four. And, but I think this one, they've just kind of put themselves in a corner where they have to spend an obscene amount of money, which they will make back, but they won't make the profit that they should make, but it'll make a ton of money. It'll still, that 1.5 billion profit won't look the same as if it was.
Yeah, they're only going to make, 500 million instead of 7, 7, 8, 9. So
it's a weird one though with RDJ. I think I would bet my kidney that his face is going to be shown 100%, because they're just not going to not show that face. They'll find a way. He'll get smacked and that mask will crumble or something, and it's going to happen.
Vader,
Vader literally it's going to be Spider-Man. He pulls part of the Tony. That's not Tony, and it's but it'll happen.
That's one
I
thing
do think it'll be. I think that hopefully there's just characters like I really hope. I will be upset if someone like Shang-Chi isn't in the movie. I know that it seemed like he had to be because Daniel Cretton was originally directing it.
Yeah.
And he's my favorite of the new crop of heroes, and I think he's just a cool a cool character. So I really severely hope that he's in there and he's not cut, because I think he could be, someone going forward that his movie got a bad, it could have made more money. Is released in a weird time.
Yeah.
But that's one of my hopes.
Simu is a star. He is. Whenever he's on camera, he's great. And everything we've seen him in, he's great in Barbie. He's very talented.
Kim's Convenience. He's awesome. He's so good.
All right, so you mentioned Romulus. What'd you think?
Dude, it gave me everything I hoped for pretty much, and everything I dreamed of. With one, the budget being 80 million, Fede Alvarez, I already had expectations as far as like he's very creative with sound and with just use of his sets wisely. I think this movie, I'm a sucker for like anything when they go practical and have analog,
Yeah.
sets, and everything is, you can touch everything and feel everything, and even with your eyes you can see it. Everything's tangible. You can see the actors are actually interacting with the sets, and I
Yeah.
love that so much. Um, I thought the movie's awesome. It took a very big swing in the third act, and I actually was fine with it.
Yeah.
I think that it can, they connected it. They connected it to the overall universe, and I more than I expected to.
Yeah.
I honestly thought it would stand alone more, which
Mhm.
I do think that if you haven't seen any of the movies, you can still watch it and have
Yeah.
a good time.
Yeah.
It does pay off to have seen the others for sure, and
Yeah.
it kind of connects some dots and clarifies some things.
Yeah.
But I just like, I will watch that movie a lot just to admire the filmmaking aspect. I think Fede Alvarez is I think he's elite at what he does. I think just the way that they crafted the set, the way that they use the sets, and it's clever filmmaking. I think that this movie could have ballooned in budget if you decided to, um, you know, shoot in more locations. They reuse those places a lot,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think that is it. And the story, it was fine. Like the characters, whatever. I thought Kaylee Spaney's a star. David Johnson is awesome,
Yeah.
playing two
Two
characters.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Like he was the standout for me.
Hmm.
But Kaylee Spaney, she's been killing it. Um, I thought the movie was awesome. It exceeded my expectations because I never know going into an alien movie. Even though it's
a
Fede
coin flip.
Alvarez,
It's a coin
you
flip.
never
You
know,
never know.
man.
You never know. For me, I thought this movie was spectacular. I had
Yeah.
a great time. I'm a funny Alien fan because I enjoy the movies. Watch them. Like I knew about them growing up. I think I might have seen one, like in
Yeah.
parts, but they're scary and gory and stuff. But I really like the campiness of what it turned into in the back half, like Alien versus
We're talking
Predator,
AVP stuff.
AVP Requiem, bro. Like, come on. And I'm like,
Yep.
you gotta have a pregnancy. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta have something
Yeah.
crazy happen, right? I really like those. And then when Prometheus and Covenant came out, it just left a bad taste because those movies aren't great, right? So it's a toss up when you get to this point, and there's a couple things going well besides Fede Alvarez, of course, but like fresh cast, like a bunch of new actresses and actors in here who I've never seen. So it's like cool. I get to see some new faces. Again, like with Doomsday, and well, let's bring RDJ back.
Yeah.
Let's get some new blood in here, and not knowing them and seeing them do this movie on which is going to get a lot of attention and people good word of mouth. Like they're gonna be stars here, and we'll see them in a lot more things. But I love when a movie gets me in the first like 3 to 5 minutes, and
Yeah.
it opens up with like just dead silence,
Yeah.
which is so cool, and then the music kicks in, and it just, now you're just feeling the alien presence kind of come down on you, and now we're in outer space and all this stuff, and I'm just like, no one can hear you scream, right? and
No.
and what it reminded me of, and let me know if I'm wrong,
Sure.
remind me of the title of the movie you recommended me, Paul Giamatti in the high school,
The Holdovers.
The Holdovers, because it had that kind of feel that you get from those old 80s alien
100%.
movies. That I was like, they shot it
100%.
like it didn't come out here, and it has that.
Yes.
And I'm like, I feel like I'm watching the old alien movies, right? And that was refreshing, and just the way they foreshadow things, the way Fede foreshadows things, and the dynamics, and even like showing that colony, and there's like no sunlight. And I'm like, yeah, I would also want to get off this rock.
Yeah.
It all just worked, and again, I love storytelling and narrative, but when your characters start doing stupid things outside of their motivation, which we'll also talk about, it really loses me in the immersion. But all the characters stayed true to who they were, and they had their, typical roles. You got your minorities who are gonna die. You got your a-hole. You got your love interest. You got family. So it's like, okay, well, you get to pick who you want to survive. And I think it all pays off, and it just all like kind of falls into place. Again, I want to complain about the trailer because they showed deaths in the trailer, and I was not happy about that.
Oh, same. Again, back to the trailer stuff. I don't get it, man. It is yeah. But I agree though on the like something I came out of the movie just praising was that it felt like an 80s movie that was just modernized, right? Yeah. Almost like a 4K restoration with a few more tricks. I don't know if they shot on film or not, but it just had that look. It had that look. Everything was gritty. You're right. When we open up on, I forget what the planet's called, but
it was Jackson Colony. I don't remember the planet though.
Yeah. Oh man, it's just you go from the silence and like, all right, we got that don't breathe working here. Yeah. But he's so good with engineering sound.
Oh, dude, and the sound design is crazy in this movie.
It's so good. And even the commitment
jump scares too.
that works. Commitment to animatronics. And I know that he had been, I mean, the whole marketing thing, not like the major trailers and stuff, but all the featurettes and things like that, Fede posting, like he was very passionate about using animatronics and using as least amount of CG as possible. And I think that when you do things like this and you see the commitment to the sets and you make it for $80 million, like there's no reason we should have lost that art for so long. Yeah. And I know there's always been movies throughout the years that still have that commitment to physical, tangible sets, but there's so many more that it's all just a green screen fest. And some people are excellent at working with that thing. Like when you look at the creator, right? Also made on a small budget. Yeah. But Gareth Edwards. I think he comes from a VFX background. Yeah. And so it makes sense that he can make so much out of so little. Yeah. But this is just, I hope that this inspires people to do similar things, right? And follow that path. Yeah. And another thing that you kind of mentioned with the Alien franchise that I've always appreciated is it's not like the Terminator franchise, right? Where they're like, we got to bring Sigourney back for every movie. Oh, and, right. Yeah. You know, if this was like the Terminator franchise, they probably would have made Sigourney into a synthetic at this point, you know? Yeah. But they don't, and like
cloned her, so they could have easily added her. If
they
really
easily could have, yeah. And I'm surprised that hasn't happened. Yeah. If someone did that, fine. At this point, that's fine because they haven't just used her to, ground her into the ground. But you have a fresh cast. You have some like the actors in this: Kaylee Spaney, Isabella Merced. Like they're actors that we've seen in things, but they're not like. I think they're both on the fast track, right? Yeah. They're in a lot of great stuff. I remember seeing Isabella in Instant Family, which I thought she was great in. The cast was awesome. Trailer spoiled a lot. That was annoying. But they connected to Prometheus and to Alien cool. Covenant.
Yep.
In ways that I didn't expect to be.
Right. Yeah.
I can't say enough about this movie. I've seen some folks that I like to go to for reviews after the fact. Yeah. Who really didn't like the third act, and I was in, man. I was in on it. I thought that like with the connection to Prometheus mostly. Oh, okay. Engineer stuff.
It did feel like the movie ended, and then.
Sure.
I agree. Think that was supposed to be what it was. It's like, oh, you finally feel. I was like, okay, we can relax, and then like, bam, we hit you again because they still didn't. There was a thread that wasn't tied yet, and then you get that.
Kind of like Alien, though.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Very similar to the first Alien,
yeah. Yeah, because you're like, oh, even to, what was it, the other baby? Was it 2 or?
It was in, wait, for which one?
Where it's Sigourney Weaver's alien baby, and he gets sucked out of the thing with the hole in the wall. I can't remember if that's Resurrection or Alien 2. I mean, I think it's Resurrection, maybe.
I think so.
But
yeah, man.
And what was funny is I haven't seen the Alien movies in a while. I think I did a rewatch around Covenant. But I couldn't remember 2 and the colony that they find Newt in. So in my mind, which was nice, I wasn't sure if the ooze or the alien was going to go back to Jackson Colony, and that was going to be the colony from Alien 2.
Yeah.
I was actually very concerned about it getting away.
That's fun too, because like it gives you a reason to rewatch them. Also, like
Yeah,
I rewatched the first one like at least once a year,
yeah,
and the rest it all depends. Like Aliens, I'll watch every once in a while.
yeah.
Um, but I also think that like there's a chilling shot, when the baby has been born,
Yeah.
and it comes
What?
back up
Which
from the.
chilling shot? Because there's
Okay, when it's in the tunnel and you hadn't really seen it yet, and you
yeah.
first see that
Is it
face, that
like this?
hybrid, yeah, and I'm like, oh, yeah,
Yeah, it was
just like,
gross. It was gross.
and when you finally see the scale of it and how big it is when it stands up fully, I'm like, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
chilling,
yeah.
loved
It
it.
was. Yeah, and it sucks because I think it was spoiled for me that Fetty's like, oh, there's something crazy that happens that's never been seen, and
Uh,
I'm like, I wish I didn't know, like
yeah,
expecting something, but it was still it was very fun. The jump scares got me, especially the third act jump scare at the end gets me.
yeah,
Um, and it's very creepy, and the body horror is like, it's up there, because like when the chrysalis and he like electrocutes it, and it looks like a pregnant womb and everything. It's gross. It's gross, man.
I just love the film. I think Fede he's so great, and I mean, his Evil Dead remake is awesome. Don't Breathe is awesome. Like he does so much good work, and I mean, he can do whatever he wants. If he wants to do an original movie next, that's awesome.
Yeah,
If he wants to do another, I'm sure they're gonna ask him to do it again because
yeah,
it's making money.
yeah.
Um, mm,
Do you
I
want to
thought,
see him
yeah,
do a Star Wars?
no, but that's just because it's a tough question because we've seen excellent filmmakers and people go into Star Wars and
Yeah.
either A, it never gets made,
Yep.
or B, it seems like they're handcuffed and we don't actually get to see, their
True
vision
vision.
for
Yep.
something. And so like I'd rather him do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Um so I hope that changes though, right? I hope that and still Fede probably wouldn't be my first pick for like a Star Wars movie,
Hmm.
but I would choose him for like a Jurassic Park. I think that would be awesome.
Oh,
Did he
Jurassic
do
Park would
one
be
of the
good.
Jurassic? No, it was J.A.
No,
Bayona. It was J.A. Bayona.
no.
But I would love to see him do like something like that with a smaller budget.
I'll pitch you. Fede does a Star Wars horror movie, but see, they just wouldn't do it because it's just like you can't
No,
do the gore and it.
just like he would write it and he would present it, and they say, we don't do that," and then he'd make it his own thing, and it'd just be
Yeah.
another like space horror
Rebel
movie. I'd be
Moon.
cool with that. Rebel Moon.
Imperial Moon. No, because I mean, like, it would be cool to see a Star Wars horror movie. You have like a Grievous type or a Darth Maul type hunting Jedi, or or like
It would
you
be
have
awesome.
like some kind of monster hunting your characters there in
If
Star
I
Wars.
ever hit like the Super Lotto, we can fund that fan
Yeah,
film and
we'll do
get
it.
Fede to do it, and it'll
Yeah,
be like an actual film. But we'll just eat that $10 million and
yeah,
and make no money off it. It's okay.
yeah. It'll be a passion project. Speaking of, I was gonna say speaking of creators being held back, Eli, the Acolyte is not getting a season two.
uh, you
Are
know,
you kidding me? We're what? What? I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
for all the people who love the Acolyte and we're hoping for a season two, my condolences.
My condolences to them as well.
I am sorry that you're not getting your second season. We've all been there. We've all had shows that we loved and didn't stand tall throughout the query for next season.
Yeah.
I'm not upset. Obviously, if you've seen our our reviews, you will know that I'm definitely not upset. I am upset that it wasn't better, in my opinion. I
Yeah.
think the writing and just the story overall, and there's a lot going wrong with it. I would have been shocked if it got a second season, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I almost feel like it's such a Star Wars thing to be like, you know what? Let's just. No, that's not true. They cancel stuff all the time. They announce stuff and cancel it.
Yeah.
I was more surprised that they canceled it outright and this soon because
Yeah.
they almost always just let things fade away.
Right.
They just
right.
let it like they don't
say
mention it, and then
anything. Yeah.
you'll hear like I typically you would have heard Leslie for 3 years say, "I don't know, I'm working on it, but we'll see."
Right.
Just
right.
like Patty Jenkins and
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson with his trilogy and a million other filmmakers. They just usually let it like fade off to the distance.
Yeah.
So I am surprised that they just announced it. But I would have been upset if they put another $200 million into
Yeah.
a second season. Those resources can be used elsewhere.
Correct.
I hope. Let's see a movie, please.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get movies, and we can get a different show with a different staff of a different director, and have actually maybe a good Star Wars this time around. So I'm glad we don't have a second season. Again, our condolences to the fans who liked Acolyte, but you can still have The Stranger, and you could still have Plagueis in another show. That'll probably still happen. I just don't think it'll be called The Acolyte.
I hope not,
And the reason why I say that is because Manny Jacinto he's a fan favorite now. And so you could tap him. I mean, he's a little older. I don't know.
I don't trust him to do that, man. I don't trust that they will give us something with that character in such a different tone. I think he'll run in the same issue, same tone. You're gonna, like, if you bring Manny back, I don't see how you don't bring back OSHA, and then you're basically just making the Acolyte season 2. You know,
what about what about Plagueis? They'll do something with Plagueis.
It's weird.
Young
It's weird with
Palpatine.
Plagueis.
Young
Like,
Palpatine.
part of me feels like with the small bit he was used, just cut him out. They edit everything anyways. Just like, what's the point? He had no purpose. He did nothing. He was never mentioned in the story. He served no purpose. He said no words. He was there because you thought I don't know, you're able to use him. Is a weird choice. Maybe we'll see him again. Maybe we won't, because we've heard about him for 20 years and we never saw him.
I'm trying to think, okay, have we had a Star Wars character in something that has been used in a show after like its cancellation? I think the only thing I can think of right off the top is they are using Kira in the new Star Wars Outlaws game, right? From
yeah,
Solo. So I think
but
I mean, it's not live action.
It's like,
it's not TV.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm trying to stay
it's
hopeful.
tough.
I mean, I want to see more Plagueis stuff. I like Manny Jacinto. I don't care about the character. I know people who do, but there's still a chance they could.
I think he's cool.
Use him for something.
But I think that with Plagueis is such a weird thing. It almost feels like Mephisto with the whole Marvel thing, but much grander scale. We heard, like, I know they made the books, right?
Yeah.
I know they have the Plagueis books, but as far as like the canon and whatnot, he was mentioned one time briefly, and we never saw him. We never heard about him again. Nothing. And like, and that's the great thing about Star Wars, is you can have someone in the deep background that people love, and I love that about Star Wars.
Yeah.
I hope they use him again. I hope you're right. I hope they use him again. I hope we see him again. Even if you're right, maybe Manny ages out of the role by that time, but maybe someone else takes up the mantle of a younger Chimere. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope
there'll be
that
a mention of him, I think. They'll be like, oh yeah, there was this. Because I really think they were trying to push a Knights of Ren thing.
I agree. I agree.
So
with
I
that.
think they'll mention it in something. And do you think they'll do any more stuff in the High Republic, or do you think that was its last shot? You think that was the one and only shot? Because it's not the High Republic's fault that the show failed, right? But then Disney's very like, oh, we can't. Well, no, let's not touch that. Let's not do that anymore. Do you think they kind of abandon High Republic stuff, or do you think they still maybe try one more thing within that era?
It's interesting. I think that maybe. I mean, it's such a barren playground that they can do whatever they want with, really, because it is a pretty niche area of, like, it's new. It's, even though it's been going for a few years, it's not like there's an abundance of content,
Yeah.
And they've been pretty clear that they don't care about books establishing real canon. Like, they'll overwrite that with the snap of a finger. They don't care. So like, maybe someone comes along and pitches an idea. I don't think it's against, like, I think there's a chance someone comes along, pitches some great idea, and like, let's just try it. But it's not related to that show. It is a time span that you can play with. That just happens to be in that time area. I think there's a chance. I do hope this doesn't make them shy away from trying new things, because I don't want to see a million more projects between episode 3 and 4, which is like the hot spot.
Hey man, Andor 2's coming out. We want that.
I do, but that's already going. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like. And to be fair, you know what? I'm a liar. I'm a liar, because I actually don't care as long as it's good. I really don't. I'm a hypocrite. if it's good, you can make 10 shows in a row in that time period. If the writing's good and the acting's good,
Yeah.
directing's good, it could be all within a 10-year span. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want good content. I just want to enjoy watching these shows.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm really expecting, man, and just going back to Celebration, I'm really expecting now to hear, are we leaning into movies or are we leaning into TV shows? Because after Skeleton Crew, I don't know what else is happening, Star Wars wise, besides movies. You know, are we gonna have another animated thing? Because I would like, let's do an animated thing in High Republic. Like, why not? I mean, they already
would
had
like
like
that
the
too.
kid show, but
I think it's interesting though that since Bob Iger came back, Marvel obviously made that shift with slowing down on Disney Plus content as far as like shows especially.
Yeah.
And they're going, back to movies and less content and all.
Yeah.
And I think with Star Wars, their shows have been a success more so than Marvel for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think it is crazy to think that The Rise of Skywalker came out in 2019. Like it's been 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Which is, I mean, that flew by.
Yeah.
And you think about like the gap between Episode 3 and The Force Awakens, you got 10 years. So I suppose that's still the next movie we're getting is Mandalorian and Grogu, right? In like a year and a half or so, 2 years.
Like that, yeah.
I think that'll probably hopefully start the movies coming back. I miss the movies, man. I miss them.
Yeah, I miss the movies as well. But I mentioned Skeleton Crew. Talking about TV shows, we didn't talk about it at all. What did you think of the teaser?
Weird. I think that I think it looks awesome. Weird.
Right.
I think not looks awesome. Sorry, let me clarify my thoughts.
Okay.
I think that the filmmaking aspect of it looks great. I think that it looks like a high quality TV show, right?
Yeah.
I think that the filmmaking side of it looks awesome.
Okay.
Where I get a little nervous is that it's a cast full of kids.
Yeah.
And I think Star Wars doesn't have a great track record with kids being
Episode 1? What are you talking about?
Just in general, I haven't particularly loved like the live action kids on screen in Star Wars. I feel like they're not giving it great direction, not giving great material.
Sure.
It's case by case, but I just you think about Episode 1, think about the Acolyte, you think about Episode 8 where the Broom Kid was a whole thing, even though he was only there for a minute. It just feels like there's such a and yeah, maybe. Well, even when I saw Jude Law, I know that, and I can see it. They're going for that Amblin vibe. I know they've talked about it a lot, and I love that. I love Amblin stuff. E.T. and those. I like Stranger Things enough, even though I think it has, its own faults. But I think my big strength, like even when you're a Jedi, it feels hopeful and it feels whimsical. Yeah. I just am a little nervous about having a cast full of kids.
Yeah.
I do think that John Watts is great, so I am excited for it. And if you had to have me put $20 if I think it's going to be a good show or not, I would put my $20 on good. Yeah. I wouldn't feel the safest with that bet, but I would lean that way.
Yeah.
And similarly, John Watts has worked with Disney. He's worked in that machine a ton, and I think he knows how to work with them, right? It's not like he's just someone who had a great Netflix show or a great Mac show or someone who was like new and hasn't had a ton and that they can push around. I don't think they can push him around that much. So I'm trip. I'm at a 7. I'm at a 7 out of 10.
Well, I'll be more positive than you this time because given your argument, John Watts, the home Spider-Man movies have technically kids in them, right? They're adults playing kids. But they're written as kids, and I think the dynamics between those kids are good. Like, they feel real and grounded.
I agree.
Spider-Man. So I'm hopeful for that. Given about casting kids, you mentioned Stranger Things. I love Stranger Things. I'm pretty high on that. But kids-wise, we did have great casting for young Leia in Kenobi. I don't think she held the show down.
True.
So hopefully the casting are good for these kids. The main one, I think his name's Wim. He's the voice for in Encanto, Antonio, I believe, the youngest.
Okay,
one.
yeah.
So it's not his first foray into Disney. I mean, voice acting and on screen, but I'm hopeful. I think it'll be good, and especially if they just kind of lean into that Amblin vibe, like I think it'll be good. My prediction is we have this retro futurism, which is really weird in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I actually did a podcast with Billy Maddox on Off the Rock Rebellion, kind of going through more Skeleton Crew stuff. We were talking about like what planet could it be, and I felt like I had ADD because I was just like kind of jumping throughout the conversation of what planet could be as I was thinking about it. My one prediction is it might be more modern Naboo, which I think would be kind of cool.
You're pretty crazy. Yeah.
So that was one idea that I had, because I'm like, I don't know where this is. They might just come up with a new name, but they're gonna get shot out into space. I think they'll get shot out to the outer rim. They'll have Jude Law there. He's not a Jedi. They think he's a Jedi, but he's just gonna kind of manipulate them into thinking he's something that he's not. And then when we get to the penultimate episode, he's like, "Hey, kid, I don't use the Force," and they're like, "Oh," and be real sad about it. And so I think the foundation's there from what I'm seeing. I'm hoping it's good. I really am hoping it's good. If not, decent enough where I can show my young daughter and watch Star Wars together. But yeah, we'll see. I think the pirate stuff looks cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the pirate stuff I think looks cool.
I think the one thing that I should note is that they've said what this show is going to be from the jump, and it looks like exactly what they said. Yep. Unlike where the Acolyte, they said it's going to be this dark Sith, gritty Force show, and it never looked like that. Yeah. This does look like it is exactly what they said, and that's a great thing. As far as the Leia thing, devil's advocate I will play is that I thought the actress was great, but I thought the execution of the scenes with her were not. I know there's a chase scene and just like her being around, and that's my fear. Is that like, oh man, I hope there's not like a bunch of scenes where they're just like being chased around or like doing ridiculous things. But it's fine. I do trust John Watts, and you're right. This is like, I know that they're significantly younger than the Spider-Man cast was, but still, I think you're right. John Watts, he did a great job with, the high school vibe and the kids and the awkwardness and stuff. So you're right. I think you bumped me up to a 7.5.
Yeah. I think I'll go 8. Because I like the Spider-Man movies fine. Like I really like, my favorite is Homecoming. I wasn't the biggest fan of No Way Home, but it's not due to the cast. It's just the writing of having Mysterio as your bad guy, and not being revealed to like the middle of the film. And people like Far From Home. But
let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious. I think we probably had this conversation for sure. Mm-hmm. What's your Spider-Man ranking? Because I have mine, and it's pretty definitive.
Spider-Man actors or movies?
Let's go. We could say both if you want. I can go first if you need me to, but
okay. So actors, I just had this conversation with somebody. If we separate the actors from the movies, is that what we're doing?
No, we're saying as Spider-Man / Peter Parker as a whole. Who's your favorite? And in order, because mine easily for me, Tom Holland is number one. I think that it's far and away for me.
Yeah.
I was young. I grew up with the Tobey Maguire movies. He's my last one.
Yeah.
No, I think the movies are fine.
Yeah.
I didn't love them growing up. I liked them. They were what we had.
Yeah.
But then I feel like when I saw Andrew Garfield, yes, I've heard the argument that he's too cool. He had no friends. He was a loner. Like I know he skateboards and stuff, but he had no friends. Like, come on.
Mine is the same.
Garfield would be second.
Say, yeah, Holland, Garfield, Maguire. But it's the Andrew Garfield stuff. I like Andrew Garfield a lot. He's very talented, but the version, that Amazing Spider-Man character, to me is too Batman-esque on vengeance.
I can see that.
Than a Peter Parker, because Peter Parker wouldn't hunt down a bunch of randos and like kill people, So it's like it's crazy. It
almost is like the Man of Steel to Superman of like Spider-Man for sure.
Yeah. So that's my ranking of actors. And did you say you had to rank for movies or just the?
Well, I mean, I think I have all 3 Tom Holland movies, but Homecoming, No Way Home, and then Far From Home.
Yeah, same.
And then I'll go Amazing Spider-Man, and then I'll go Amazing Spider-Man 2, and then I'll go. Yes, I do think that movie has many issues, right?
Yeah.
But I just love Garfield and Gwen. I love
over Spider-Man 2, huh?
100%.
Really?
I'll put Spider-Man 2 at the best of the Raimi ones, and then I'll go Spider-Man 1, then go Spider-Man 3. But I do think, for me personally, you can fight me. There's a gap for me. I just don't like. I've gone back and I've watched them, and even when I was a kid, I always was like, all right, these are cool, but like I like the X-Men
Oh,
movies
sure.
more.
Yeah.
Like I was just, I don't know, Tobey Maguire, it just never hit for me.
Yeah.
I just never was like that into it. Spider-Man 2 is good, but I'll take Emma Stone
Andrew
and
Garfield.
Andrew Garfield brooding romance for an hour and 2 hours, and that's enough for me.
I didn't see Amazing Spider-Man 2. I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
Never seen it. Refuse. I refuse because I know when movies are bad, I just don't waste my time and watch them. I haven't seen any of the Venom movies.
This isn't, and I know we talked about how much I rewatch movies on another podcast,
Yeah.
but I've probably seen Amazing Spider-Man 2 like 15 times. Like it's not even like, oh my god, I love it. It's just like I just it just happens sometimes. It just happens. It just happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to Skeleton Crew. And we'll definitely do an episode review. That's in December. Feels so long.
I hope it's
now.
amazing. I hope it's amazing. And I think it'll be great for
happy with
kids
just good.
and people loving
I'd be
it.
happy
Yeah.
with just good. Because like I'm not even like Ahsoka wasn't amazing, but I thought it was good. I don't think it was bad.
I agree. I agree.
And I'm looking forward to season 2 of Ahsoka. And now I haven't said this on recording yet, and so I'm gonna clip this. Imagine Ahsoka season 2 with the storytelling that they had, plus the fighting scenes from the Acolyte. Get that secondary crew to do the fight scenes. I think it would put that show into like another hemisphere.
You know what's funny about that? When watching Ahsoka, I thought the fights were pretty good. Like I thought they were fine. Like I didn't have any issue with them. I remember us talking about it.
I did.
Like and I didn't. But then when you see the Acolytes fights, I'm like, okay, I definitely like these more.
Yeah.
But I almost hope there's a blending of the both of them. I think that there is something about like the original trilogy. I know it's like swinging baseball bats, but I do feel like there's something to the impact of those. Like I don't know. It feels like when Balin, right?
Yeah, Balin. Yeah.
When he was swinging saber,
the Balin Ahsoka fight is actually really good.
That's like I really like that fight, right?
Yeah,
and I think there is a common like a middle ground you can find,
Mm-hmm.
and I do think it's nice when characters have. Like I don't think every character needs to fight like in the prequels, right?
Oh,
but
yeah,
I also don't think that every character like I do think there's something nice about distinction between characters and lightsaber styles and fighting styles. It'd be cool almost to see someone. It's almost like Vader, sort of fighting. I don't know. It'd be like Vader fighting Anakin, where someone is using that typical prequel or almost Acolyte, which isn't quite there, but it's fast and it's style against a more stoic like Balin. Sure. would be cool because often I feel like they're either both quick and fast and or they're both slow and lethargic and like heavy swings. Let's see them fight each other.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think when it comes to combat, what I appreciate about that kind of more anime style of fighting that we're seeing in live action is there's a story to be told and there's beats within the fight that are cool, like set pieces within the fight. And Ahsoka had them, like with Balin and even her last fight with Morgan Elsbeth. But then there was this like kind of other weird scenes where it wasn't as iconic. I mean, the Marok fight with Ahsoka was cool too. So there was good fights there. But I would like to see it just level up just a little bit because Ahsoka is known for faster combat and the prequel era style fighting. I know she's older. True. But I would like to see just a little bit more.
Hey, if Yoda can jump around like that, I think Ahsoka's still, you can still move.
When you said blending the two, I was like, you want to see Ezra ask Sabine to join him in the water? What are you talking about?
I'm excited for Ahsoka season 2 as well. I thought same. It wasn't like Andor, but it was good. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I loved some of it.
Yeah. I didn't think I was going to see zombie stormtroopers. Like that was awesome.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. And I think that there's still a lot to give. And similarly, like we didn't like the Acolyte, but like not everything's gonna hit. And I still I will stand by. I like people taking chances. I don't feel like it was a chance thing with the Acolyte. Like it wasn't like it's just a writing thing.
Yeah.
And mood and tone, but
we didn't get to do like a full season review, but I would also add in there was a lot of positives still in Acolyte besides the storytelling. Like the costume design was cool, the set pieces that we got were cool. I mean, I even still liked the Coven design. There wasn't much there substance wise, but you can grow upon on the foundations of these things in the Star Wars universe, and I like that they were trying to do something different in introducing some of these other ideas. But I just overall the project itself, like there's things I could take that are positive, but overall the project's a failure.
I'm gonna make a sports reference. I think that's important to say because I do think that it's easy to say that show sucked. Or like you're in casual conversation, whatever the case, that's fine. But when you're talking about these shows, like, yeah, I didn't like it, it sucked. You look at any NBA fans here, you look at the San Antonio Spurs. They were horrendous last season, but they also had Victor Wembanyama, and he's amazing. So, like, my thing is, you can have a show that, like, we didn't particularly like. I think majority maybe didn't like it. That's why it got canceled. Yeah. But there's still people who I hope continue to work on Star Wars, and I'm sure will continue to work on Star Wars because they did good work. You know what I mean? Yeah. Regardless, like the set designers and obviously the choreography team and all that. So I think that something I think you and I always try and point out is the good within whatever the case. Like there's always silver linings and there's always good. It's not just like, that everything in that show is terrible.
Yeah.
There's always some shining lights.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like even Pip as just a new droid. Yeah. I actually liked the outfits, the costumes for like
makeup and all that stuff was awesome.
The sound, there was some good sound. There was some good music stuff that they did. And the alien designs were cool, the few that we got.
I agree.
So there's some positives there. And hopefully we can bring some of that good stuff into more Star Wars stuff. But again, I'm always a proponent of more Star Wars than no Star Wars. We've had dead times in Star Wars, and I don't want that to happen again. So crossing my fingers for Skeleton Crew to be good. Please be good.
We don't. As much as I would love another like Force Awakens event, I hope we don't go another 10 years without like a Star Wars movie, But yeah, I agree.
So the Mando Grogu stuff, I saw some leaks online, and it looks fun. Looks fine enough. I'm not the biggest Mandalorian fan ever, but but again, I'll be happy to be in the movie theater watching it and hearing the music and opening crawl if they still do that.
I might dress up as Quill. I'm so excited to go to see Star Wars in the movie. I'm telling you, I won't be able to contain myself. Yep, I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I'm gonna have to hire someone to, just crawl around.
Sir.
I have spoken. I'm so excited, and like Jon Favreau, I love that man. I know he's worked with Disney a ton. Yet Lion King, I don't like fault him for how that movie performed. Yeah. It made a ton of money actually. It was like a shot-for-shot remake though. I didn't love it. I feel like there's no real. I mean, the point in making it was money, obviously, but like I don't feel like he probably got to spread very many creative wings there because there's literally just the movie but live action.
Yeah.
But I love his work, and. I mean, he's not good. I don't feel like he's a hired gun. I've heard, you hear stories. I feel like Jon Favreau's he knows how to work in that system too. I mean, he's worked with Kathleen Kennedy for so long, Dave Filoni for so long. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're going to be able to you can't do that. You can't do this. I don't think that's going to happen.
He made Iron Man 1.
Yeah, he made Iron Man.
He started the MCU off.
Literally, and those are big chances he took and fought for RDJ so hard. So like, I do think the movie's going to be a really fun time, no matter what, like good or bad. I think it's going to be a fun time, and I will go all out. I don't have any tattoos. Maybe I'll get a tattoo. I don't know. I'm gonna go crazy. First. I'm gonna go off the walls.
Din Eli.
I'm gonna make my own signet. It's just gonna be like I don't know. It's gonna be a mic, a podcast mic.
That'd be cool. All right, Eli. Where can the people find you online? Where can they see your tattoo postings?
Nowhere. No, you can find me at Uncle Sheev online. And I went blank. Twitch.tv/Uncle Sheev. You can find me there most 3 days a week, 4 days a week. It depends. And then at the Fan Awakens everywhere. We're still working on stuff behind the scenes. We're working on some some new things coming, but I won't. I said some things prematurely before, but we're working on it. Under promise, over perform. I did the opposite, so we're still working.
And you can definitely find Eli here as well in the Raincore channel. And you can find me, Parade Rainer, as well here and on Instagram. Check out raincoreclothing.com. Keep an eye on the description and Etsy because things are coming too. I've been promising things. I have them. Just gotta get it, shoot it out into the universe. But with that being said, I hope you guys all have a great rest of your